From the NewsTalkSTL studios in St. Louis, it's the Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. On tonight's episode, we check out local librarian Karen Druley, find out what's actually in Missouri Amendments 2 and 3 with Senator Mike Moon, and the Right Mind studio band, Mitch Murphy and the Murphy Tones. Now, putting the fun in your dysfunctional world, here's your host, Todd Schowalter.
Well, guess what I did? You know what I did, Joey? I succumbed to being stupid.
Okay.
Succumbed to be... Does that even sound right? I am officially... I went ahead...
Succumb.
Whatever. I am stupid once again. And ask me, say, Todd, why are you stupid?
Well, welcome to the club. We did miss you, but why are you so stupid?
Oh, because I had to go ahead and pay my personal property taxes to get my tags.
Oh, my God. Let's move out of Missouri. Let's move to Texas. I'm tired of it.
I've got to tell you, here's the thing. And okay, so now what is this? It's like the end of, where are we, September, something like that? And so I wait, until my tags are due. Okay, that is when I finally succumbed to paying this thing, even though there's penalties and interest. But I don't care because I'm a rebel, dang it. I'm a dang rebel, I tell you. And there is nothing dumber than personal property taxes. Why? Why in the world do you pay taxes on something that you already bought and paid sales tax for?
I don't know. I think our good friend Quentin, who runs Larry Connor's show, Larry Connor's USA, next up, MASH. So Larry Connors was recording his show, and Quentin was renewing his tags in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
And he popped his head out of the studio and said, Joey, I need you to go take a picture of my license plate and my VIN.
Oh, wow.
And then send it to me in a text. I was like, oh, my goodness. Well, can you imagine what I could do to that man's life now that I've memorized his VIN?
Well, you already did.
It's a very important number. That's what it stands for.
I know it does.
I don't understand why we put our car's social security number out there for anyone to look at.
That doesn't even matter, though, because if he didn't pay his personal property taxes, they won't let you go to the DMV, one of the friendliest places in the world, with all of your stuff. You got to show up with everything, like your insurance cards, your emissions, your safety inspection, your birth certificate, I don't know, all this stuff, along with proof that you paid your personal property taxes. Why? How come you don't pay personal property tax like on power tools, do you? I mean, why? What is this with cars? I mean, every single year. And now, you know what? I guess people know this, but they decided, well, your car's worth more. So, and we have 3 cars, so it was like this astronomical amount just to get my tags renewed, and it's stupid because I already paid sales tax on this stuff.
Does the DMV still check and see if you have your COVID shots? Because I heard that they want to make sure you've got at least 7 of the masks hanging from your rearview mirror when you're driving around.
I have that.
Because I see a bunch of old ladies driving with the masks around their mirror just in case.
I know. Let's get to the important stuff. What did you think of Chimp Lady or whatever it was called? Did you? I mean, the show. I mean, it's based. There's the woman. For those who don't know, they're
Chimp
listening.
Crazy. Let's get it right.
Chimp Crazy
on HBO Max. Watched all 4 parts in order.
Yes, and she's actually almost a local woman. I mean, she's from Festus, which is right outside of St. Louis. For those of you in our area, please don't get shot. And she has all of these chimps. These chimps, and it's quite something. They try to take one of them away, and what did you think of it? She was just a bizarre type of person. But we said before the show started, or we were talking about, I should say, that one of the husband or something had his nose bitten off by one of these things, and it looks like they just glued it back onto his face. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, on Chimp Crazy, it follows this main lady, Tanya Haddix. She's considered to be the Dolly Parton of petting zoos, and she has got lip filler out the keister. Her butt's blown up, her lips are huge, her boobies are huge, and she always says, I just want it to look natural, though.
Right.
She's got the biggest hair and the most faceliftiest face you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But she seems like a very nice lady.
Sure.
And she absolutely despises hanging out with her own children because you can't control them. Eventually they grow up.
That's
and
right.
you have to say goodbye, go be an adult. But with a chimp, you can control them their whole life until they turn 5 and then get that chimp strength and then rip your nose off.
That's what they did.
So these people go around doing chimp parties. They'll bring a chimp to your birthday party with all these 5-year-olds, and then a nose comes off just out of nowhere.
Or an appendage. I mean, the one woman, they friend of somebody, I mean, it tried to eat her.
She brought an Elmo doll and got her face ripped off because he was a Cookie Monster fan. These chimps are so temperamental.
What? I just didn't. I had no idea. I mean, it was quite something. I mean, and here's the thing: it's one of those things that I thought, well, I don't want to watch this. But then next thing you know, I'm like on episode episode 3, and I can't quit watching it.
The whole thing takes place a lot in St. Louis because that's where she has to go to court for all these fights against PETA, which I don't know if I've ever rooted for PETA to win something before. And then she decides to set up a petting zoo at Lake of the Ozarks, which I go every year.
Yeah.
So now next year I know there's a place I got to go to. Tanya Haddock's lip filler / petting zoo.
Yeah.
See if I can get my rump a little plumper.
Well, why not? I mean, and it looks
it's like when you go to the dentist and you get a colonoscopy. I like these places where it's a twofer. You go to the petting zoo and you get
that's
a
what
butt
they
lift.
do. I know.
BBL.
It's very convenient, as I say. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, all the stuff that's out there. You know, speaking of PETA or whatever it's called, you know, the guy that was on our show, Pinky the Trucker, he got in a little bit of a heat because of our show.
No way.
He did.
I edited that show myself and made him very funny.
Well, the whole thing about throwing his dog out of the truck, and when we said, what was the dog's name? Victor or Vector? Or
Veronica. Well, through hundreds and thousands of years, people would pick up their dogs by the nape. And by people, I mean the adult. The adult dog, the parent dog, would pick up the little puppy dog by its nape and its teeth. And then that seems like it's still allowed, right? Can you pick your dog up by the neck?
Well, apparently not, because, you know, I got an email from somebody saying, how do I get in touch with him? Because, you know, I think her name was Karen, not the Karen.
We never used Pinky's last name for this exact reason, Karen.
Hey, I can't believe he threw a dog out of his truck. Who is that? How can I get a hold of him? I'm not going to tell you how to get a hold of Pinky. He's on the road somewhere.
I think we should set the record straight. The dog was probably sitting on his lap.
Yes.
And then the easiest way to get the dog out is probably just pick it up gently by its neck skin and then place it down on the ground. I don't think he was throwing it out at 100 miles an hour and watching the people look at porn and, oops, the dog went out the window.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, too. I mean, you'd think if you were busy watching porn, you wouldn't even see his dog fly out the window. Mm-hmm. That was rather strange.
Well, we're sorry, Pinky, if there's any flack back or whatever word they use nowadays for getting in trouble.
You know,
hope you're not canceled.
I hope he's his. I mean, have you ever been canceled? You know, I had those shirts, you know. I mean, you know,
cancel this.
Cancel this. Like, you want to cancel something, cancel this. You know, I think that would really be, it's kind of like my sign in my front yard, which we're giving it. We have a winner, by the way. Should I just segue to that really quick? You know, we're having our contest here.
You made the most the best signs. People say
it's the best
Todd
sign.
makes the best signs. You made real live hand-drawn cartoon Trump signs.
Yeah, I really did.
Better than any sign that Trump actually made himself. What if he sees this?
Oh, I think he did.
Did you tag him and post on Twitter and X and Threads?
Of course I did. I'm waiting for it to show up at one of his rallies or something. Hopefully, and they're bulletproof too. So hopefully, you know, he'll just hold one up in front of him, you know, to show the world that, hey, look at Todd's cartoon, and it'll also keep him alive because
Mark McCloskey, he's on this station too. Mark McCloskey
on fire,
and he's always on fire. And he talks to a lot of people who are in with Trump, and he talks to one guy who is considered a front row Joe. Yeah. He goes to every Trump speech, and he's in the front row. He actually almost got shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was crazy how close he was.
Really?
So if we could get him one of your signs, and he shows up before everyone else, and he's a front row Joe with your sign and is holding it up, and it's on, Fox,
everywhere,
MSNBC, it shows up everywhere. This would be huge for you.
Yeah, well, I think so too. People would say, "Hey, can you make me? I'm selling my house. Can you make me a sign? Or can you have a sign?" I mean, I made one for Josh Hawley, but he didn't see it yet. So, if you want a sign for yourself, just let me know. I'll make one for you too. You can put it in your front yard.
I can't wait for more people to see these signs. We're going to make a big post about it. We've done a couple shares from your page,
okay,
but I think maybe you are blacklisted for all the dirty cartoons that you've drawn. So we're going to take an official Right Mind Show picture with these signs, so everyone can see them, and then hopefully they win one.
And it's so easy. I mean, our first winner, Michael Kellison. He's actually from Long Island, New York. Okay, so we're all over the place, buddy. I mean, people think, it's a St. Louis show. No, Long Island, New York. We have listeners.
Is that like
there.
a blue state type of place?
Yes,
that's a cool place for it to be. I like that. It'll stand out.
This guy's a patriot. He sent me a picture. I think I sent it to you. Of it's right there in his front lawn, and Michael won that. And all he had to do was just sign up and be a subscriber to our podcast replays, and boom! Next thing you know, he's getting his house egged, and people throwing paint on it and stuff because of this Trump sign that he won here on the show. And I think they're evicting him from wherever he's at, but that doesn't matter because the sign looks good, as you said.
What's the most ethical way to enter to win this contest? I don't want any animals to be harmed. Do they just go to rightmindshow.com and then it'll be a pop-up?
Animals are harmed because we have Pinky the Trucker he's actually picking out the votes, the winner each week, and he picks out a winner and then he throws his dog out the truck.
I like that. Synergy.
Yeah, it is synergy. It all kind of comes together. But that's all you got to do. Yeah, you just go and you subscribe. Go to rightmindshow.com. There's like the, that's the site, and then just big, obnoxious, annoying entry thing pops up in your face, and just subscribe, and boom, we may be talking about you on the radio, and speaking of that, this has nothing to do with where we were going, but a good friend of mine, her name's Jenny, I said I'd do a shout out. She's a listener, and she's a wonderful person, and she likes the signs too, and she said her husband won't let her put a sign up because the neighbors may be offended. Now, what what I did? I saw her on my run this morning, okay, because she's always, walking the park, and she's a very wonderful lady. She actually, her daycare took care of Blake and turned him into the stellar person that he is today. A lot of her credit goes to her. But she said, well, no, my husband thinks maybe, the neighbors will be offended. And you know what I did? I stopped running, and I had a good cry. Yeah, right there.
We have a cat that attacks our window and keeps clawing up the screen and antagonizing our cat that's inside.
You told me that.
And so what we did is we got these motion detectors that scream and flash lights.
Oh, that's the best.
So if we could get 10 of those for this person to surround the sign.
Yeah.
So if anyone even looks at it, they immediately get blinded. Any car going by, it'll just terrorize them, and then they'll swerve into someone else's yard and take out some wall signs, I bet. So we'll put up a security system for the next person that wins. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I thought, here's what I was going to do. I was just going to dress, Halloween, so you can get all this. Every abandoned building in town has become one of these, like, Halloween warehouse places.
Yeah, I hear the Armory, where they had all those games and stuff, that's shutting down and becoming a Spirit Halloween. Over there in Midtown, they just shut down out of nowhere.
I think they shut the airport down and just turned it
into
like
Spirit,
Halloween. Yeah, but that's but they have all these Donald Trump things. So I'm going to actually dress up as Donald Trump, sit next to my sign, and when people try to pull it out of my yard and throw eggs at my house, I'm going to say, I really want to do that. And that's all he's going to say, and it won't make any sense. But people will be so perplexed that they'll run away, and they won't even think about hurting my sign.
You have some frozen Trump steaks and just throw them at the vampires that try and mess with you.
It's going to be a good time. I know I'm having a good time already. I know my buddy Joey's having a good time, and we'll have more of a good time when we come back. In the meantime, I'm Todd, along with Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Karen Druley shares some of the cool things the Jefferson County Library has to offer. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who talks so much, librarians across the country have agreed to ban him, Todd Schowalter.
And we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V. Mitch in the background and on the line now. Oh my gosh, Joey! I can't believe that this is an honor. I'd say it truly is. The actress, the actress extraordinaire from St. Louis. But not only is she an actress, she's also she's with the St. Louis County Library. Arnold.
No.
What?
No.
Can I just? It's Karen Druley. Karen Druley had to jump in and did not let me say her name. So no, you're not with the St. Louis County Library. Tell us, who are you with today?
The Jefferson County Library System.
Jefferson County Library System. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I need to talk to somebody from St. Louis County, so this interview is over. Okay, no, it's not. It's not that funny.
It's truly Karen Druley. We're excited. I Googled her before she came on, and I knew it was Jefferson County.
He knew it. I'm a little off today, but that's okay. It's the end of the month, and I had to pay my property taxes, and I'm a little miffed. Anyway, one of the reasons that there's so many reasons I enjoy talking with you, but the thing is, last week, Joey and we had a photo shoot, and we had some binoculars. I go, where'd you get these binoculars? And he said, well, I got them from the library because the library rents stuff. I go, what do you mean the library rents stuff? Yeah. Like power tools and lawn furniture? I mean, and you got all kinds of stuff. And you know what I said? I know the perfect person to ask about this. And it's Karen Druley, who's the actress who is not with the St. Louis County Library, but the Jefferson County Library. And you said, yes, we don't rent, but you can check out all kinds of stuff. What stuff can you actually check out from the library?
Oh, I see. Well, I counted this morning before I came on because we keep adding stuff. So I figured I counted 63 categories that we have. Now, some of our most popular things would be the Wi-Fi hotspots. We have a C library, the sewing machines. Those are pretty popular. Puzzles. People love doing those.
Okay.
Yeah, we have puzzles. You can come in and you can get a puzzle and you can take it home and put it together and bring it back. And,
wow. What if you lose a piece? I mean, if you lose a piece, do you have to say anything?
We don't charge you. We always say, hey, when you bring it back, can you let us know if a piece is missing? Because we don't want that out on our shelf.
Yeah, right.
But,
okay.
There's some stuff I didn't realize we had in our library of things. I'm like,
library of things. Is that what you?
That's what we call it.
The library of things. So, say, what if I needed like a bathtub or something like that? I mean, do you have stuff
like that?
Well,
no.
I'm just trying to think of stuff that's out. I mean, because puzzles are fine.
You'd be amazed. We'd be amazed. Well, we have a balloon pump. We have musical instruments, all kinds of musical instruments. We have
balloon pump.
Poles. We have health kits. We even have knitting needles and crochet hooks. We've got a projector. We've got a record player.
Right. Okay.
We've got stencils. And I was shocked at this one. I didn't know we had a portable power station. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't really care about that one. Do you have any firearms or anything like that, or explosives?
No.
Nothing like that.
None of those.
What about all right, let me ask you this, and this is a serious question. What if I forgot to brush my teeth? Can I come in and say, hey, can I borrow a toothbrush? I mean, could you?
No, we don't have that.
You don't have that. Okay, so nothing to deal with personal hygiene,
like
it sounds like.
No, you wouldn't reuse that stuff either.
What are some stories we can get into besides listing things?
Yeah, because Joey says this isn't really very entertaining to the listener. We want to know actually
it's very entertaining.
Well, it depends on who the listener is. What are some good stories? What is the strangest thing that you personally, actress extraordinaire Karen Druley, have actually checked out to somebody?
Medical equipment. I didn't know we had medical equipment. I had a gal bring
medical
back
equipment.
Yeah, I was like why are you bringing crutches back? And I was like, what? And then I found out
like a CAT scan. You can get an MRI machine.
They have
crutches.
They have like crutches, and then they have one of those little scooters that you can put your knee on if you've got like it had an injury, like you broke your foot or whatever.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
I think they're called. Yeah, I didn't know we had those. And
yeah, okay.
We have medical equipment. I didn't know that.
That's amazing.
I had no idea.
Yeah, check out anything that's inflatable.
No. Are you kidding me? There's no way. I wouldn't reuse that stuff either. Come on.
I can imagine an inflatable projection screen for a backyard movie night. I bet that'll be listed soon.
Yeah.
We have a projector. Yeah,
so coming soon.
We have.
Okay.
Cake pans, too. Cake pans. If you want to bake your wife a cake, or Joey wants to bake his girlfriend a cake, we've got cake pans. And it tells on our website which location has what things, because we don't have them at each location, because, that's a lot of stuff to keep.
Something I love about libraries is their ability to bring the dead back to life. A lot of people are into genealogy and family trees.
Yes.
And you can find out about people who you're related to that lived in where you lived. And something that's really cool is being able to digitize your old movies. You could take a VHS of your dead grandma, and then you could put her on a DVD the way she always wanted. It was grandma's last dream to be in the cloud. That's why she went to heaven.
Yeah.
And you can do this at the library. You can bring your dead grandma to the library.
We do have the one where you can take your pictures and convert them to cards and stuff like that. We have a converter that does that.
Got grandma on a little memory stick, a little thumb drive now.
Well,
take her wherever you go.
You got her cremated and put in one, or what? The St. Charles Library, they had a little bit of a snafu not too long ago, because they had some books that they were renting out to people, like about how to do it like a porn star and things like that. Now, I'm pretty sure, because I know you personally, you don't let that kind of stuff happen in your library, do you?
We have risque. No matter what, a library has risque subjects. And how I am with it, I believe that everybody has access to it, because there's stuff on the left that they want banned. I don't believe that. There's stuff on the right they want to ban. No. But certain subject matters should be only, I would believe, like, if it's very, very risque, like which one you're talking about, the book, I would believe that would be something that the parents would have to prove if it's okay if my child checks that out, because you're responsible for your child till you're 18. So, I don't think a 16-year-old should be able to check that book out unless it's okay with the parents. And it should be in a place where it's not easily accessible to underage people like that either.
Sure,
so I agree with some of that,
So if I came in and I wanted to check out a risque book and something inflatable, that wouldn't fly at your library.
We don't have inflatable things, but we have.
Got to get your parents' permission.
Oh yeah, I get my parents' permission.
There's subjects on there's no matter what it is, it's a risque subject to somebody. I don't care what it is. Somebody's going to think it's a risque subject. But, but I don't believe in banning everything, because you want people to have the freedom. This is America. You want to have the freedom to choose if I want to read that or if I want my children to read it.
Sure.
But I don't want that, because I know we had a Dr. Seuss display a few years back. Somebody was upset about it, and it's like, we didn't have any banned books in there, but somebody was very upset about the display. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's, so yeah, people get too crazy with.
Well, no, yeah, like and that. I agree. I don't think you should be banning books. I mean, and that's one of the problems you have. You got all they're trying to ban books. No, I don't think. The way I look at it is kind of like when going to a movie. Okay, you've got like different ratings. So if there's a kid and he wants to see, you can't go see a rated R movie. Okay, so there should be different things. Like, I mean, you should have different categories. And it shouldn't be like you're banning anything. It's just a matter of, it's not age appropriate. And I don't know why some people have a hard time with that, but they're usually liberal losers, and that's pretty much why. It's
between you and your family, your children, you and your family to decide if they're going to see that movie or read that book. And that's the thing. I agree with like certain subjects. It's like I don't want somebody telling my child about certain things. I believe that is something a family should decide. If I want my child to read that, it's okay if my kid reads that book or not, or that's that family's decision. So
yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I didn't, along with your busy film career. I mean, I didn't know about all these library adventures, but when I learned how to read, I may come in and see, and if I don't even have to read, I may just maybe check out like an ice maker.
If anybody wants to check out my stuff on Facebook, look up Karen Druley, Druley. I've got my acting page. You can follow my ventures. Look up Redhead online. Me and my husband's in that one. We went out to West Virginia and got my tongue cut out in a horror film. So.
Because you like horror films. I mean, that's
I've actually been booking a lot of horror films this year. I started doing it. I'm in love with horror now. I never thought I would be.
Fantastic. Well, it's always great to talk to you. As you know, I talk to you often, but it's always great to talk to you so everybody else can hear you. And I'm just so I'm giddy with excitement to get into the library. And, I don't know, maybe I think
you all can actually come to St. Jefferson County and get a card. We have a reciprocal agreement.
I'll do it. Because I'm going to go. I'm going to check in. I'm going to check out some bronzer because I'm getting a little low. So thanks.
We don't have that.
Okay. Well, I guess I won't see you after for a while. Well, thanks so much for joining us then. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Till next time. There she
Bye,
goes.
Karen.
There she goes. Well, I tell you what, she's a busy woman. I mean, she's been on the show with her husband, Dave the Landscaper, and I knew she was a busy St. Louis local actress, but I didn't know she did all this library stuff.
You'd think if the library's in Jefferson County that they'd have powdered wigs we could check out and pretend that we're the founding fathers.
Oh, I like that idea. You think they do?
Of course. I mean, they're named after that guy from the beginning of the country.
Karen?
Oh, Tommy.
Yeah, that's
Tommy
right.
J.
In the meantime, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my good buddy, Joey V. You're listening to The Right Mind Show. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter, Missouri Senator Mike Moon tells us what voters need to know about the abortion and sports betting amendments coming up in the next election. Welcome back to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter on NewsTalkSTL. And now a man who likes to shoot crap at the casino, usually after eating too many undercooked crab legs, Todd Schowalter.
Hey, we're back. I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my buddy Joey V here on The Right Mind Show. And on the line now is Senator Mike Moon. We're going to talk about Amendments 2 and 3. People think they know all about them, but I don't think maybe they don't know everything about them. And you're going to kind of set the record straight for us. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Todd. Hope you are too.
Yeah, doing all right. Well, you're down in the Springfield area, correct?
I live about 20 minutes from Springfield to the west side.
Okay. Well, up here in the great area of St. Louis, there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of heated debate going on about both of these amendments. Obviously, we have the voting on the betting rather on in sports for Amendment 2, and on 3 we've got the whole abortion issue, and there's other things involved within these amendments that people are a little bit confused about. What do you think the biggest things, the biggest discrepancies on both? Well, let's start with Amendment 2. What do you think the biggest discrepancies involved with that one are?
Well, I personally am not a gambler. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I think we need to keep in mind is that if you look at the the downfalls of gambling. Usually, those who are gambling typically can't afford that additional income to be lost on those bets. Now, there's another side of it too that says, hey, it's going to be great for the state. Is that the way that we want to make our money? And is that a revenue stream that is predictable and could be sustained? That's to be seen. But in any case, I'm going to be a no vote on it myself. That's just me talking. Mm-hmm. But in any case, people have to make up their own minds. I'm just not a gambler, so that's why I'm up against it.
Well, another thing, was there some type of, they said this was going to go towards education as far as the funds and things like that. And we've heard that story before. I mean, is that, what's that all about?
Now, that's an interesting topic there, Todd, because before I got elected, I had always heard that money that was used on gambling and the revenues from it would go to education. So when I got to the House back in 2014, I asked that question of the budget director, and he told me that, yes, the money does go to gambling. However, it's washed, actually. It's taken out of the revenue stream for education and put in the general revenue bucket. And so, yeah, the money does go to education, but it's not a windfall. Let's say the revenue is $100. Now, that's far below what it generates. But that $100 is actually not going fully to education. It's taken out on the back end and it's put into the general revenue stream. So I think that the public is being duped about the money really going to educate children. Mm-hmm. And so if you ask the right questions to the right people, you get answers that may not be the ones you're looking for. In this case, that was the one I was looking for, but because it verified what I had thought all along.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I mean, my wife's a school teacher, a retired school teacher, and she has a lot of friends that are school teachers, and it goes back to almost like with the casinos and all the other stuff that was going on. That was supposed to be this big boom for the education fund, and none of that ever happened. Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised that they even keep bringing it up when it's just a misnomer. I mean, what are there other things packed into this thing that we don't know about?
There may be. Honestly, I didn't look at that with a fine-tooth comb. Again, because of what I said earlier, I'm not for it. And what you pointed out about where the money's actually going should wake people's minds up. I believe that they ought to be knowledgeable about the fact that it's not all what it's cracked up to be. And so I hope that they will join me in voting no.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on to Amendment 3. To me, that's the big one because there's a lot of confusion about that. I mean, I'm personally, I'm not for it. But there's so much, I mean, along with the whole abortion issue, regardless of where you stand on that, there seems to be a heck of a lot more packed into that because passing that, from what I understand, would open the door for a lot of things that people just may not be aware of. Can you go over that a little bit?
I'd like to, sure. I think, first of all, we need to answer the question, what is reproductive freedom? That's what it's listed as is in the amendment, that people want to have reproductive freedom rights. Well, don't we already have it? And so let's answer the question, what is it? Reproductive freedom, is it contraceptives? Is it tubal ligation, vasectomy, prophylactics, et cetera? Yes, it is. But does it also, if this amendment is passed, would it also include the ending of a life, the developing human prematurely, anytime during the pregnancy, for any reason whatsoever, even up to birth? Would it also include the distribution of abortifacients, which are drugs that cause abortion, in school nurses' offices without the parents' knowledge? Would it also include removing healthy body parts and replacing them with plastic, non-functioning body parts? Yeah, I think it would. And in addition, let's look at Section 5. I'll just read this if I have a moment to do that.
Yeah, please do.
No person shall be penalized, prosecuted, or otherwise subjected to adverse action based on their actual potential or perceived or alleged pregnancy outcomes. Now, just take a look at that right there now. No person would be penalized. So if you've got a doctor who is performing a procedure, whether it be an abortion or whether it be a delivery or whether it be a hysterectomy, they will not be able to be held accountable for extreme or gross negligence. So it didn't end there. Let me continue on. It says, including but not limited to miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion. So to include all those other things, deliveries even, could be hysterectomies, as I mentioned. And you're not going to be able to hold a doctor accountable for their due diligence. Nor, as it continues, nor shall any person assisting a person in exercising their right to reproductive freedom with that person's consent be penalized, prosecuted, or otherwise subjected to adverse action for doing so. So that's just what I said before. You're not going to be able to hold a doctor accountable for doing what they should be knowledgeable and skillfully able to do, even if they're negligent, even if they purposely do damage to you.
So it eliminates the whole malpractice situation, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And I don't think people are understanding that because it's sort of hidden in there. But when you get to the including but not limited to, that opens it up to everything.
Sure. Yeah. Well, going back to even to, on the abortion issue, I mean, one of the heated things with, the debate with Trump and Cams, they were talking about the, having an abortion up until term. I mean, now if this passes, would Missouri be one of the states that would actually allow an abortion all the way up to like 9 months at term? Because to me, I mean, I see abortion as murder myself, but there's no doubt about it being murder up to that point. At that point,
absolutely.
I should say. And it allows that.
I have not found anything in this amendment to rule that out. So I think you're absolutely correct. It could. And I agree with you, Todd. This is murder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and they've got all the other what else is packed into this? Because from what I understand, there's things as far as transgenders and things like that. As far as, I mean, I don't know if you can call this pork because it's worse than that. I mean, what are some of the other things that are built into this that just the everyday person doesn't realize they're actually voting for?
Yeah, I think, Todd, just to carry on what you said there, they're looking. Those who are proposing this amendment to be passed is looking for the whole enchilada in one bite.
Right.
And look at Section 2. It says the government shall not deny or infringe upon a person's fundamental right to reproductive freedom. That right there could include the transgender procedures. And it goes on to say, which is the right to make and carry out decisions about all matters relating to reproductive health care. So what would it be if an adolescent child, a minor, went into the nurse's office and told the nurse, hey, you know what, I think I might be pregnant. I need an abortifacient to kill this baby. Will they have to get the approval of the parents? Nothing here says they have to, because it says the government, which schools are state-run, shall not deny or infringe upon a person's fundamental right to reproductive freedom. So if a kid says, hey, I want to kill my child, what's going to stop them? The parents don't have to be informed. And so that could lead to all sorts of problems too. But I think you're correct. It includes everything.
Well, even if a child's a minor and you're basically, custodial wise, so you're saying that the schools could actually help expedite a child having an abortion without telling the parent at all?
They chemically, right now we have a law you cannot do a surgical abortion. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that bans a chemical abortion. This will open it up to everything. There's nothing in there that I found that would limit it.
Well, what about, and I keep just going down this list of things that I've been asked like the whole thing with, say the women competing men rather competing in women's sports. Are there certain things in this that would allow that?
I don't know that it would allow necessarily the competition between men and women. But if you would consider that under reproductive freedom, it would allow them to remove body parts and say, hey, I'm no longer a woman, I'm a man, because look at me externally. I've had these changes made. Could that be interpreted by a court to say, well, since they identify as a woman now, you can't disallow them from competing in what sport they want? It could. I think that may be a stretch, but I think the transgender procedures, it certainly opens the door for those.
Right, right. Well, now, again, we've had these situations, and this seems like it's one of them. I think the whole thing with marijuana started this way, too. We had outside groups that are coming in, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one, where they're getting these petitions for people to, and half the time people don't even know what they're signing, but they're getting all these things so that they can actually be put on a ballot. Now, is this actual, is this part of that? Do we have a lot of outside influence that's pushing this bill?
I understand that there was nearly $4 million or around that amount was actually brought in from out of state and maybe even out of country to support the signatures getting this onto the ballot. So there is a lot of outside influence, and that's something that has to be stopped. We stopped some of the out of state influence, but we didn't stop it all apparently. And this is an area we need to consider looking at.
Yeah, because it just seems like, and I know there were some efforts during the last session to put an end to that altogether, but it just seems actually, I mean, when you have outside interest, they can come in and get something put on your ballot. And going back to even like changing the Constitution and things like that, I mean, that just doesn't seem right. I mean, is there anything that's going to be coming up to put an end to that again?
Well, I'm not aware of any legislation that's been drafted. I know there's been conversations, and that could happen. And I think if there's nothing that I've seen myself that would work, I'll do it myself. But I think the discussion will be had, and whether or not the kings and queens of the Senate and the House will allow that to happen, that's another story. Because you know what happened to the initiative petition reform this past year? It was stopped by essentially 4 people,
right?
And that shouldn't happen, but it did. And so now we're back to the drawing board to see how we can get it done, where we can protect Missouri residents.
Yeah, I mean, again, it always seems to be the situation where you think, a lot of times you think you're voting for something, but and a lot of times it's worded in such a way that it's confusing to begin with. But now when you have all this stuff put in here that you don't realize that you're voting for, even if you have good intentions, which, this is, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion, but I'm not for abortion. But I mean, even if you think in, dire circumstances, this is why I'm voting for it, you don't realize all this other stuff comes with it. And I mean, I just don't think the public actually knows all of that.
I agree with you, Todd. And I think that if folks who are really wanting what is right and fair to all concerned here in the state of Missouri, if they would just look at some of this and just imagine what the extreme circumstances could and might be, there's nothing in this that would not be up for grabs. And here's something that, if you look in Section 4, that I think really is dangerous when you consider childbirth and what decisions a mother, maybe even a father, might make. It says, notwithstanding subsection 3 of this section, the General Assembly may enact laws that regulate the provision of abortion after fetal viability, provided that under no circumstances shall the government deny, interfere, or delay, or otherwise restrict an abortion that in the good faith judgment of the treating healthcare professional, and here's the kicker, is needed to protect the life or physical or mental health of the pregnant person. When you consider the mental health, I don't know if you're married. I'm married.
Oh, yeah.
We have 5 children.
Yeah, right.
And there were times where my wife was saying, "Oh my goodness, I hate you." She didn't actually say that, but I knew
I get that a lot, actually.
They're in such extreme discomfort that they don't even want you to be around anymore, and I get that. But what is to say that a pregnant individual, a woman, and we're talking about women here, not persons, that they're looking like a man could be pregnant.
Right.
If they were to say, you know what, I just don't want this. I don't think I can tolerate another second of it. Go ahead and take it from me. Take the baby.
Yeah.
That could happen. And so this negates everything. I think, even though they say the General Assembly may enact laws that regulate the provision of abortion after fetal viability, what if, though, in that same situation, the mother says, you know what, I just can't handle this. It's making me go crazy. Could they take the baby? Well, look at the other sections in this thing. Yeah, I think they could.
Well, you could even just go in and say, well, look, this is really going to, put a dent in my social life, and it's going to depress me, and it really has me bummed out. And so, I mean, it could be like, something superficial and silly. I mean, because I'm not saying anything against mental health, because that's definitely an issue, but there's some subjective things that come into that, and that just seems like that's a slippery slope.
I agree with you. I think it's just too easy for that to be in there to say, that's just one of the three provisions here. The life, physical or mental health. The mental health could be just about anything. Mm-hmm. And that could be the excuse that says, we're terminating pregnancy. In essence, we're murdering this baby.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, and one last thing, too, and I don't know if this is totally correct, but as far as a healthcare provider, as far as performing these abortions, I mean, somebody was pointing out, well, does that have to be a licensed doctor? Or, I mean, what constitutes a medical provider? I mean, could it be anyone?
Well, according to these sections here, someone who assists doesn't necessarily have to be trained for that assistance. It could be just about anyone. And let me read this once more in Section 5. No person shall be penalized, prosecuted, or otherwise subjected to adverse action based on their actual potential or perceived or alleged pregnancy outcomes. And so reading down here, it doesn't say anything about the person, their training, or what. It looks like it leaves it open to anyone. Well, and so look at, and reading in Section 6, I'll just read this real quickly. The government shall not discriminate against persons providing or obtaining reproductive health care or assisting another person in doing so. It doesn't say anything about their criteria, the training they might have had or should have had.
So under this bill, if it were to pass, hypothetically, and I hope it is hypothetical, that you could have people, mom and pop shops, just, liberal, whatever, it'd say, well, we're going to perform abortions now, and, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and, people could just open abortion clinics.
It doesn't rule out that possibility, Todd. So that is possible.
And you wouldn't have to be a license. You could be anybody. You could be, I was working at Walmart one day and now I got an abortion clinic. I mean, it just seems so far-fetched. I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, these are extreme situations, I would hope. But, I mean, it just seems like this whole amendment that and, again, they sugarcoat it, I think. All this all for women's rights, this and that. Yeah. But it's, it's just going back to Amendment 2. I mean, there's all these other things. It's not for education. I don't know how this is really for women, the Amendment 3, when you have all these, negative things packed into it. And I don't know. I shake my head, but that's how I wanted to talk to you today, because I hope the listeners get a better idea of it, because it's a very hotly debated situation, and I don't think people still have all the facts, but hopefully after today they got a few more than they did before.
And I've taken some heat on my interpretation of some of these sections, yet I have asked for political opinions. I've gotten them, and they verify everything that I've said.
Yeah.
And so it's not out of bounds to say that all the things that we talked about today could happen, where you don't have to have your parents' permission to go seek health care. And it's a far reach to call abortion health care.
No, right.
Two people go into the clinic, only one comes out.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It removes the parents' right to participate in all those decisions related to health care for their children, whether it be contraception, abortion, sexually transmitted disease or treatment, all those things. And then you ask the question about, could it lead to and permit abortion up to the time of birth? There's nothing here that says it could not. So this is far too radical than even some of the radicals really want. And I hope folks who are listening will take a look at this, do their due diligence and research. And if there's any question about what it could do, vote no.
Yeah, and a lot of it just seems, I hate to use the word common sense, but it does. I mean, what happened to morals? I mean, I'm not some, but I'm certainly, I'm no angel myself, but I mean, what just happened to basic morals? I mean, certain things like this, it just seems, why are we even debating this? I mean, it just seems so logical. I don't know. In my opinion, we got to find our morals again, because a lot of people seem to have lost them. So I don't know.
Absolutely right.
Well, like I said, it gets me going. I just can't believe we're in this situation, this society of ours. But I appreciate you coming on to set the record straight on a few of these things because, again, it's a big issue, both of them. I mean, I think Amendment 3 is the biggest one. But I appreciate you setting the record straight on a few things for us.
Well, I'm glad you allowed me to participate in this discussion. Thank you, Todd.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Well, that's Senator Mike Moon. And again, Joey, I mean, you've said a million times to me, hey, you're no good guy. You're a sinner as much as anybody. But, I mean, some of these things just seem, kind of cut and dry, don't you think? I mean, gosh, heavens to Betsy. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I looked up my ballot. I went to Ballotpedia. I put in my address, and I looked at the entire list of things we're going to be voting on.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure about any of this stuff except for one. I am retaining Judge Ginger Gooch.
Yeah.
Because
well, you have
with
to.
a name
Ginger.
like that, we can't let the laughs just leave the Supreme Court of Missouri like this. We
No.
must keep Ginger Gooch in office. So please retain the Gooch.
I like that. Did she ask you to come up with that?
No, I came up with that because I'm passionate about one thing, and that is puns.
Punny. That's very punny.
I don't have
they
any
the
abortion
judges?
jokes for some reason.
No,
We're also voting on whether there should be a casino at Lake of the Ozarks, and I saw that Netflix show, and that does not end well. So no casino at Lake of the Ozarks. Amendment 5, no thank you. Unless Jason Bateman comes and he's like canvassing and he comes to my door, I might vote for it.
It's actually, they filmed that in Georgia, though. It's not even the Lake of the Ozarks. So it's actually, it would just be like a casino in Georgia. And I don't know if they could do that either.
The tax write-offs are so good in Georgia. You know what? Do they have personal property tax in Georgia?
I don't know, but they sure do here. Boy, I'm miffed. There's certain rules that are okay. Okay, here's one rule that I think is okay. If there's a lot of traffic, okay, and there's a red light, I think it's probably a good idea to stop for it. To me, I mean, that's a good rule. But there are a lot of rules that are just dumb. I mean, just dumb rules. And this whole personal property tax, now that you brought it up again, it's not just a dumb rule. It's a dumb law. It's just dumb. I mean,
I drive through Ferguson, and they have angry stop signs. You know how regular stop signs don't work? They've got ones that actually flash lights at you to let you know, like, we're for real about this one. This one is super serial, you guys. You got to stop at this one. The other ones, they're kind of suggestions. They think they're trying to make people obey the angry stop sign, but it makes me think, well, if you ain't got flashing lights, I'm not going to listen to you, Mr. Stop Sign.
Well, they shouldn't have angry stuff in Ferguson. They're having a lot of troubles up there. They had that poor guy that got hurt. He hit his head like the police officer. And, their police chief, I was going to try to have him on the show just to try to tell what's going on up there. They had that riot where they tried to break down the new fence on their police station. And now you're saying that they have angry stop signs that blink really loudly and they harass you?
Mm-hmm. They should put little motion detectors that scream at you now, too. Just like, hey, if you do go through. So you feel real bad.
Yeah.
Like a lady yelling, like, no fair.
How do colorblind people read stoplights?
We had a fair to mid show today.
We had a fair to Midland. What does that mean? Fair to Midland?
I think it's a golf term.
I have no idea. I've had a good
4.
time, too.
I
was a little off today because, well, as our listeners can see here on the cameras we're not in our regular studio today, are we?
Jamie Allman said, you guys, there's a little bit of magic in the Jamie Allman studio, so if you want to hang out in there, it'll really spice up your game. And then we got too close to the sun, a little too spicy.
It just got me totally flummoxed in, and I just feel a little bit off. I mean, I've got all these colorful tapestries I'm surrounded by, and we've got lights that are really kind of weird. But anyway, I'm going to go home and reflect on this whole entire episode, and then I'm going to call you up and say, hey, I forgot what I called you about. Does that sound good?
Yeah, and I'll edit for 4 or 5 hours while you're resting and thinking about how bad the show's going to be. And then when you hear it on Saturday at 5 o'clock, you'd be like, he did it again, magician.
You are the magician. I call you the magician, don't I?
Yeah, he's got rabbits, he's got doves, he pulls things all out of his pants all the time.
I don't know where this is going to go. Well, hey, you are the magician, and Mitch is gone. Mitch left. He was supposed to do his musical number because we had him on the spot to sing, and he says, nope, I'm out of here, and he waved to us with that middle finger again, and it's just you and I, so I'm going to sign off, and you know how I do sign off, don't you?
Usually you say, I'm going to go to the library and rent a chainsaw, and then we'll come back and cut Jamie Allman's table in half. No, how do you sign off?
I always say, well, it's not a great day for football. That's how Coach Tom signs off. We say, by the way, Illinois, they're doing quite well. They're actually ranked, I think, in the top 10, and I attribute that all to Coach Tom. But we'll talk about that next time. You know what I always say?
What do you say?
If you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. Until next time, I'm Todd Schowalter, along with my good bestest buddy, Joey V. This is The Right Mind Show. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to The Right Mind Show with Todd Schowalter. To find out about all things Todd, go to StudioTodd.com. We will see you next Saturday night at 5 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, and always streaming online at NewsTalkSTL.com.